Money for Detroit, not for war.
Money for Detroit, not for war.
Money for Detroit, not for war.
Money for our cities.
In the poor inner city areas of Detroit, Michigan, the anti-war movement is alive and well.
This is a picture of that's on the front page of the Detroit News.
And what's it a picture of?
It's a picture of all the dead soldiers just from Michigan. There's a lot.
Money for schools.
29-year-old Camilo Mejia is the guest of honor at today's march. Just 3 weeks out of jail, this is his first anti-war rally.
Yeah. So we'll probably be here about another 10-15 minutes,
okay.
And then we'll start marching.
All right, great.
Camilo's 9 months inside was for desertion from the U.S. Army. He was the first American soldier to refuse further service and publicly declare himself a conscientious objector to the Iraq War.
So yes, I'm out here in the defense of all
Garuda Airlines Executive Director, Indra Satya.
Major. I respect him.
One of the common people.
After spending 9 years in the military and reaching the rank of Staff Sergeant, Camilo's life has now taken a dramatic turn.
You know, I had a really comfortable life, and I didn't want to really leave my comfort zone until I went to war and realized what was going on. Now I feel it's an obligation to be here.
This is Camilo Mejia.
Hi, Camille from Fox 2 News.
Camilo.
I'm Camille.
Oh, you're Camille.
During 5 months as an infantryman in the Sunni Triangle hotspot of Al-Ramadi, Camilo began to feel deeply troubled by what his unit was ordered to do.
Every time I ask myself, why were we there? Why were we raiding their homes? Why were we killing their people? Why were we getting in firefights? Why were we doing roadblocks? You know, all the reasons they gave us as far as weapons of mass destruction and, you know, Al-Qaeda and, you know, uranium purchase and blah, 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 it turned out to be a bunch of lies, you know. So as a soldier, you know, as a member of a unit that is occupying a nation, you need to justify that to yourself. You know, you have to look at yourself every day in the mirror and come up with answers.
Money for people, not for war.
Unable to find acceptable answers to those questions, Camilo decided to go AWOL while on a 2-week leave in October 2003.
Money for jobs, not for war.
He went underground before filing a conscientious objector application and surrendering himself back to military custody.
I just want to shake your hand and wish you the best to you.
But the army court-martialed him for desertion and refused to hear any evidence of why Camilo felt his conscience could not allow him to serve in the U.S. occupation of Iraq. Major, how did you feel when Private Mejia was found guilty of desertion?
I felt good.
Major Tad Warfel was Camilo's commanding officer in Iraq.
Basically, he deserted his men. He deserted me personally, and I took that very personally. And he deserted, worse, was his men. He let his men down, he let his country down, and he personally let me down.
You were found guilty and sentenced for desertion. You have to admit that you did abandon your fellow soldiers in a time of war, didn't you?
I don't consider it abandonment, because when you find yourself in a very, very bad situation, everyone has a choice. Whether that choice means jail, whether that choice means court-martial, humiliation from your peers, or whatever, you have the choice to continue to be part of something bad or to remove yourself from that bad situation. It was very hard, it was very difficult to make a stand alone, and for me to remove myself from a war knowing that people I loved had to stay there. But I had to make my decision based on my moral principles.
So good to see you. Really.
But by choosing to stand by those principles, Camilo took a great personal risk.
It's common knowledge in this UCMJ, if you desert during time of war that we were in, that's punishable by death. That's plain, that's in black and white in writing. That's the most severe punishment you can get, obviously. I would not wish that on him for doing what he did. But I can't think of a much worse crime than what he did.
A more realistic possibility was that they would go for a general court-martial and try to put me away for 25 years, 30 years. And that was really the biggest fear, because I have a 4.5-year-old daughter. At the time, she was 3.5. You know, this was about a year ago when I surrendered. And the biggest fear was precisely that.
We don't want war in our name, don't want a war in our name, don't want a war in our name. Days of break.
We acknowledge that you deserve an award. You don't deserve to be treated like you have been. So I want you to know as an activist that I thank you and I really honor you. Okay?
How does it make you feel when people say things like that?
I feel terrible. I don't think I'm worthy. That's the problem. I'm not really nervous to address this audience. You know, I just don't think I deserve the honor.
There comes a time when silence is betrayal. This is such a time.
I am a veteran, a patriot. Sadly, the word patriotism has been twisted into something else, but we're taking back that meaning. And yes, I am a patriot because I love this country. You know, with the culture and everything, you know, the worst thing that you can do to a Muslim man is go into his home at 3 in the morning and put him on the ground, you know, with a muzzle to his head in front of his family. It's a really scary thing to, you know, stand up to a captain or a colonel and say, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm not going to humiliate this man. And out of fear, you do things like that.
In his position in the Army, he has no right or no business judging if the war is just or unjust. I mean, it's not up to him. I mean, that's up to people way above my level, way above his level.
But Camilo felt he couldn't just follow the orders from above. In one incident, his unit was given a group of prisoners to guard and ordered to deprive them of sleep for up to 72 hours.
And the way they did that was by yelling at them and ordering them to get up and sit down, letting them sleep for 5 seconds so that they would be disoriented, and then banging sledgehammers against walls to create an explosion-like sound. And if that didn't work, to proceed to grab a pistol and cock it next to their ear so as to make them believe that they were about to be executed. And that would pretty much do the trick, you know, as far as keeping them awake. So these were pretty objectionable things, you know. When you go there and you're an infantryman, that's the first thing. You're not really trained for those things. You're not really knowledgeable as far as, is this legal, is this illegal, is this proper procedure? It just feels wrong.
Camilo's role in the anti-war movement next takes him to Fayetteville, North Carolina. This is an army town, home to America's largest military base. And today, Camilo is meeting other soldiers who have formed the group Iraq Veterans Against the Wall while he was in jail.
And you know him, Jeff Patterson?
Oh, no, I don't know.
He was the guy who refused to go fight in the first Gulf.
Oh, really?
Jeff, you know Camilo?
Not personally. I just
know
Jeff
the
Patterson,
legend. Camilo Mejia.
You know the legend of.
No.
Is he a legend amongst the Iraqi veterans?
How about you?
Camilo?
You know, I think he's a legend to those of us who oppose this war. That, you know, I think if I had to pick out a hero in this crowd from the recent Iraq War, I would definitely, he would be the first person I give a medal to.
See you finally.
My roommate, you know, we're roommates tonight.
We are?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great.
I'm just really happy to be here because there are so many people here from the military, and that's a crowd that we really need to get into this fight.
Hey, Uncle Sam! Hey, Uncle Sam! We remember Vietnam. We don't want your Iraq war. We don't want your Iraq war. Bring the troops back to our shores. Bring the
our troops back to our shore.
Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Shame! Shame on you! You celebrate the death of Americans! Shame!
But in today's polarized America, many people, like these counter-protesters, vehemently disagree with today's march.
You would rather we lose the war. The more American soldiers die, the more you can push your agenda. Support the police. Loser! Last time I checked, we were kicking ass. Peace now, win the war!
Impeach Bush now! Impeach Bush now!
Murderers, tyrants, socialists. Murderers, murderers, tyrants, socialists.
Asshole! I just fucking got back from Abu Ghraib, shithead!
Last time I tell you.
Okay, what are you gonna do, officer? You gonna beat me in the head?
Come on.
I'm a fucking veteran.
You're not wanted here. So what? It's a public street. Who cares if you don't want it?
You're not wanted here. Get the hell on the other side. I need her out of here. I'm seriously need her out of here.
It's a public street.
They're a bunch of misguided people, and they are very harmful to the United States and to the morale of our troops.
What do you think of Camilo?
Well, he voluntarily signed a contract. You know, we don't have a draft here in America anymore. We have a totally volunteer armed forces. And he volunteered and he signed a contract and he didn't keep his word. You know, that's all there is to it.
Everybody has to pass through security and be searched before being allowed to enter the park.
Pam, you're going to have to move back. You can't be around.
I thought that security was pretty excessive. I don't think it's necessary. You know, you got a lot of passengers here, a lot of conscientious objectors, and I think that they're doing it to discourage us. I think they're doing it because they don't want us here. Okay, I'm going to write it down here, and we'll stay in touch.
9-year-old Tori is from a military family here in Fayetteville. She wrote letters to Camilo while he was in jail, and this is the first time they've met.
Why did you want to write letters to him?
Because I felt it was important. I didn't want him to feel alone, all in jail. That's why.
Why are you here?
Because peace is important to me. I want to keep America peaceful, and nobody should ever attack us. Because, I mean, we should always be peaceful.
2 years ago, I was in the Middle East participating in war. 2 months ago, I was in jail for not being a part of that war. Today, I join people like my friend Tori, and I join people like you to say no to war.
The Pentagon is clearly worried. Over 5,000 American soldiers have gone AWOL since the start of the Iraq War.
My name is Camilo Mejia.
But the majority of them haven't made their cases public.
And I am against this and every war. Thank you all and thank you, God.
So it's no wonder Camilo was singled out and harshly punished for the media attention he brought to the issue.
Well, see, I mean, he tried to make it a national media event. I mean, he tried to make it a big deal. I mean, he wanted to take on the Army, and and when you do that, that's the wrong thing to do, because the Army's a big, bad, powerful thing. And he wanted to take me on, and I didn't like that either. So, we struck back best way we could. I mean, probably if he would have been quiet about it, not, came out of public news conference and or news press and did all that stuff, I mean, he probably wouldn't be in the shape he is in now. But
if they hadn't punished you, then it would have set a really dangerous precedent, and heaps of other soldiers could have done what you did. So didn't they have to punish you?
Didn't that end the Vietnam War? Wouldn't that be great if more soldiers did that?
At the end of his tour, Camilo can finally spend some time with his 4-year-old daughter, Samantha.
Ah, qué lindo. Samantha, cuando papi estaba viajando, ¿lo extrañaste?
Sí.
¿Mucho o poquito?
Mucho.
¿Mucho o mucho?
Mucho.
And the hardest moment in prison was when my daughter went to visit me, and she left that day, and I couldn't go where she was going. And for the first time, I felt like they had taken something away from me.
After 9 years in the military, Camilo now has to build a new life. He's lost most of his friends in the army, and he's been recommended for a bad conduct discharge.
Todas las tardes, ellos bailaban.
But at least his conscience is clear.
So it was very much a political case, and I made it a political case by going to the media, but I don't regret it. I have no regrets about being in prison. I have no regrets about making a public stand. I don't regret any of it.